Southwest Airlines, we're united by a purpose that is at the heart of everything we do. It's the simplest and purest expression of why we exist. Our purpose at Southwest Airlines is clear. We exist to connect people to what's important in their lives through friendly, reliable, and low-cost air travel. This purpose is why we get up every morning and why we matter to the millions of people who fly with us each year. And if we live this purpose every day, we'll achieve our vision to become the world's most loved, most flown, and most profitable airline. But it all starts with you.
We had to go to the airport for my husband to be deployed for 6 months to Kuwait. So when we got to the airport, we were sure we weren't going to be able to go past security with him. We would have to say goodbye.
I saw him walk up in uniform, and I saw a whole bunch of family members standing nearby, so I asked him if he was being deployed, and he said yes. And I asked him if they all wanted to go to the gate with him, and he said, yeah, that'd be great.
So we were very happy because that bought us about 30 more minutes for us to spend time together. But once it was time for him to go on the plane, we had our moment, we hugged, and said goodbye. The kids did really great. I was holding it together, but we wanted to stay and watch his plane take off. One of the Southwest employees came over, tapped us on the shoulder again, and said, "Can I please do something for you?" Thoughts in the back of my head were, what can you possibly do to make this any better at this point?
I realized we had about 3 to 4 extra minutes before the scheduled departure time.
He stepped away for a moment, made a quick phone call, and came back and asked if the kids and I would mind coming back on the plane. So we were very excited. The kids ran down the tunnel. When we got to the end of the tunnel, they called out on the intercom if there was a John Chatelier on the flight. And we saw my husband's hand go up in the air, and the kids were able to run to him and give him one last hug. And the amazing part was the whole plane cheered, and everybody was real excited for us. So we got one last moment with him before they closed the doors and the plane took off.
It was a touching moment, and all the passengers started clapping, and everyone was tearing up.
When I talked to him when he had landed in Kuwait, he said that whole moment, that experience, made him realize that people were going to be watching out for us, watching out for him, and just taking care of us overall.
Boarded a plane in Little Rock, running late and didn't have time for breakfast, and it was a crowded plane. So the last 2 people on the plane were a lady and her daughter, and there were not 2 seats together, so the little girl started getting upset, and so I got up and gave him my seat because there was a seat beside me. Flew into Phoenix and realized that in that layover that I could not get off the plane, and was pretty hungry, so I asked the attendant, Amy, if there were any sandwiches, turkey sandwiches for sale, and she said, "No, I'm sorry," and she went and got me some chips and things like that and disappeared. And a few minutes later, she appeared with a turkey sandwich, and she had gone out on the concourse and bought me a sandwich, and I just thought that was above and beyond. And I tried to pay her, and she said, "No, this is my way of saying thank you for giving up your seat." She saw that I had a problem. I had to wait a while for lunch, and I would have never expected that, but she went the extra mile.
I just feel like Southwest is part of our family.
Even with our kids being away from us, it brings us closer. When my father passed away, he lived in Buffalo, New York, so Southwest flies to Buffalo as well. So we land in Buffalo and we do the funeral. My dad had a full honor guard. So part of that ceremony is the flag is folded up and handed to the family members. An Air Force tradition that we celebrate is to honor the pilot or the military member. We would ask that the flag be flown in the cockpit of an airplane. So when we got on our planes out of Buffalo, New York to fly home, I asked the pilots if they would do me the honor of carrying my dad's flag in the cockpit. And both the pilot and the co-pilot both looked at me and said, "It would be an honor for us to fly that for you."
Of course, we were thrilled to do something like that to help him. So we had it in the cockpit for the last flight home for his father.
the flag up in the cockpit was just perfect for us. Honored Dad, and he got to fly one final flight home. That's where a pilot belongs, up in the cockpit.
I am a pretty regular Southwest business traveler. It's just a different flying experience than any other airline. Everybody just is having fun with their job. They board the fastest, they get your bags off the fastest, so they're efficient, which is always great, but I knew exactly when I would land every week, and so I could easily schedule my meetings and the rest of my day around it because I knew that they were going to be on time. Leaving home was not my favorite part of the work week, but Southwest made it the best. They made it the easiest to leave and come back home to by making an enjoyable experience to come and go every week.
We were taking Southwest from Jacksonville to Kansas City, but we did have a layover in Nashville, but it was just enough time to grab a piece of pizza and accidentally leave a backpack with our most prized possession, Hanover Bear. We didn't discover this until we landed in Kansas City, at which time we all freaked out. And we called Southwest's 800 number, and they gave us a direct line to someone in the Nashville airport.
As a mom, I can relate to that because I told her that I had 2 daughters, so I understood the trauma that the little boy was going through, missing his Hanover Bear.
I believe it was around 11 o'clock at night or something, and she felt so bad that Will was going to have to sleep a night without Hanover Bear that she was going to do her very best to find him.
So I went upstairs to our play area, and sure enough, the little blue backpack with the boy's name on it was there.
We couldn't believe not only did she find it, but that she would really work hard to get it to him. I want to say it was maybe 2 days later. Not only the bear was in it, but a note from the bear. Dear Will, I had a very fun time at the airport in Nashville. There were lots of people and planes to see. When it was time to go to sleep, I missed you. I asked a nice lady at Southwest to call Mommy so I could come home. Please give me a big hug. Love, Hanover Bear.
This is how happy I was.
My story starts May 2011 when I got a phone call from my only child telling us she was pregnant with my first grandchild. But our excitement ended about 2 weeks later when my son-in-law called to tell us that she had a very serious condition called hyperemesis. And so I went to Birmingham and spent the weekend with her and came back home and figured that I would see her again over the summer because I'm a teacher. And 2 weeks later, I was in the post office and got a text from her. And the text said, "Mommy, I can't do this." So I went to my principal, and my principal said, "What are you doing here? Go." I went home, and I was able to book a flight on Southwest the next morning. And not only book a flight, but use my points. I would have spent any amount of money to get there. And instead, I spent $2.50 using my points. That trip lasted until the end of August. I stayed with her all summer. And it was probably the hardest thing we've ever done. But when I left to come back to school in August, I knew I could get back there if I needed to. And she was much better then. She was able to go back to teaching too. So during my daughter's pregnancy and the eventual delivery, I was able to go 5 round trips from Orlando to Birmingham. I was able to get there within 24 hours of my first grandchild being born. And this is Carson John, his mommy Megan, and me, Grammy. After this all happened, I realized what a significant role Southwest had played in the whole story. And Southwest really came through for us.
Last Christmas was my first Christmas away from my family. I couldn't really afford to go home for Christmas because I could only get 4 days off of work. One evening in November, my phone went off right before I was going to bed, and it was Southwest and their ding fare alerts. It was available to go to Chicago for Christmas for those 4 days. So I decided to call my friend and tell her that we were going to surprise my parents and that she was going to pick me up from the airport and we were going to film the whole thing. And I hadn't been home in 6 months, and my mom was extremely upset that I wasn't going to be there for the holidays. My mom's reaction was priceless. She was crying. She cried for a good almost 2 hours. It was the best Christmas gift I could have ever given them. And without Southwest, there was no way I was going to be able to go home and give that to them. It was good. It was a very, very good Christmas.
Because of you, my son can sleep well at night.
Because of you, I was able to be at my daughter's side throughout her difficult pregnancy.
Because of you, my family and I have a memory for a lifetime.
Because of you, I was able to give my parents the best Christmas gift ever.
You work for a company of people, not a company of products or promises.
You work alongside the best people in the world.
People committed to a common purpose.
To connect people to what's important in their lives through friendly, reliable, and low-cost air travel.
A purpose much bigger than ourselves.
We can never rest on our laurels, thinking we've arrived.
We must always continue to be hungry and humble, never complacent.
Because more than 100 million customers rely on us every year
to connect them to important events safely.
It's a pretty sacred responsibility.
Because of you, a business person can close the deal of a lifetime.
A child from the heartland can encounter the majesty of the ocean.
A father can hold his daughter for the first time.
And a daughter can make it home in time to hug her father for the last time.
These experiences are irreplaceable.
$20 too high
or 20 minutes too late.
And those experiences vanish forever.
By maintaining our low costs, we are an airline people can afford to fly.
By reliably delivering on our promise, we are an airline people can trust.
By offering friendly customer service, we are an airline people can love.
This purpose, offering air travel that is friendly, reliable, and low cost, enables us to offer customers a better way.
And together, they mean the difference between success and failure.
Between an experience won and a connection lost.
No one connects people better than we do.
You're part of an amazing legacy.
And you're the catalyst for an exciting future.
And whether you're on the ground
or in the air,
in an office or at a gate,
what we've created is worth anything and everything to keep.
Because hardly anyone else has it.
And you do.
We do.
Together.
Our vision is to become the world's most loved,
most flown, and most profitable airline.
You inspire and deliver this vision. You are the heart of our purpose. You are Southwest Airlines.